Good morning, and happy Tuesday, August 3rd. Somebody needs to tell me what the heck happened with July. I mean, this month just flew by. I'm telling you, I didn't like last summer because we didn't have any monsoon rains and it was hot. I mean, it was just brutally hot every day and it was killing me. I'm flying up to Seattle on Thursday. Won't be back until, I come back Sunday night, but I'm going up for my nephew's wedding. And you know how weddings are. He's going to be walking down the aisle. He's going to have this beautiful bride. I'll get to be there for their first dance. Who am I kidding? I'm flying up for the beer. He's a master brewer at one of the large breweries up there, and it's going to be a blast. All three of my boys are flying up as well. It's going to be party time with family. Listings today, 6,728. 4,207 went under. Came up for sale, and 3,780 went under contract. That's a big dip, folks. 427, and it looks like this. See that spike up there? What's interesting about tracking it as a 7-day moving average is these numbers changed pretty big today. That tells you that the weekend was slow, but slow relatively. I mean, this line here, this is the L line, is the homes that are under contract. So you don't see much of a dip, and we're going to talk about that today. Stick around. I've got some really interesting charts. But more and more inventory is coming on. And the interesting thing, again, is we had 1,807 price reductions. So people that are shooting for the moon are finding it harder and harder. I want to jump to a question that we have here. I think it's a follow-up from yesterday. What is the role of a seller's agent in disclosing information such as easements, encroachments, structural issues, etc., with the property they are listing? Great question. So here's an easy answer. It's actually the responsibility of the owner, the seller, to fill out properly the seller disclosure form. You should always demand that. Some people say, like people that flip houses, the owner doesn't know anything about the property, so he's waiving the seller disclosure form. You just tore it apart and put it back together. What do you mean you don't know anything about the property? So the seller disclosure form covers all kinds of topics. So you as a seller, you have to put down what's known as material facts. Are you near an airport? Have you ever had any rodents? Do you know of any easements? Do you know of any encroachments? What's your utility company? All kinds of stuff. And they have to fill it out honestly and fairly. If you have a problem down the road and you find out that they deliberately didn't fill something out, then they can be in trouble. Now, the other pressure is for a buyer. This is what's part of your 10-day inspection process, to do your due diligence. Get in and do your research. Don't just rely on somebody telling you everything. It's not the agent's job to go in and dig and do any research to find out if there's any encroachments or easements. It is the seller's job to disclose them properly. And if there are easements that are going to stand in the way, they need to let you know. So I hope that answers your question. I'm going to start right now with interest rates for just a second. Fed Waller suggests early and fast tapering of bond purchases. You know, they buy treasuries and they're buying the mortgage-backed securities. And definitely the feeling is if they... Oops. Did I not turn my mic on? Hold on here. Nope, I'm going. Sometimes I'll let these little numbers down here bug me. Early and fast tapering of bond purchases. So when the Feds speak that they're going to start tapering, people in the bond market start to panic. But watch this. They didn't. They came out with that statement yesterday. Tuesday, rates are 2.80, and yesterday they were 2.84. The market is not flipping out over statements that the Fed's making, probably because Chairman Powell said, hey, we don't even know if we're going to talk about it at our September or August meeting. They have an August meeting in Wyoming every year. And he kind of came out and said, I don't know. He basically said, we're not liking where the economy's going right now. They are not at the target that they want to be. It's not growing at the rate that they want it to go. They want full employment. And they want GDP crank along pretty good, and they want inflation that's sustained at about 2.5%. Now, right now, it's spiking up like crazy. They want it leveling out. So they have a lot of unknowns, so they can't really change anything. But there's a couple Fed governors that are going, look, if we don't start backing off on MBS, the 40 billion a month that we're purchasing, we're going to overheat the housing market. So last time they made a comment that said that they were going to taper was 2018, and they tanked the market, and he had to jump in and say, "Oops, sorry, didn't mean that." And we're not seeing that yet. So that's an interesting thing to follow. Now, the Cromford report, my favorite one right here is closings per month above the list price. It is coming down. Remember, it was rocking about 60%. Now it is 57%. It's not a huge change. There's still a lot of closings over list price. But look at this, though. When even you get down into crash years of 2008, we had 8% of the homes going above list price back in the crash. It jumped up to like 38.6. We're obviously in record territories now, and they are averaging in the popular price ranges of 300 to 400, 400 to 500, $16,000 and $17,000. That's better than the 20K we were seeing. It's clearly slowing down out there. You can see the chatter. You can see the homes being on the market longer. Open house foot traffic is down. It's definitely slowing down. We can feel it. We're hearing it, and agents are talking about it. But just how slow is it? This is the supply index, market index, and demand index, similar to what we were looking at yesterday, only it's in a little bit of a gauge format, which kind of tells a pretty good picture. If you're looking here at Anthem, it's saying the supply is green. That means there isn't very much supply, so it's in favor of sellers. And the market index is saying it's a market index of 419. A market index is the balance between two, the gauge on the left, the gauge on the right. So if it's 100, then it's a balanced market for both buyers and sellers. So you can see that in Anthem, it's definitely an advantage for sellers. And you can see the demand index now is getting kind of down in the red, which means the demand is backed off a little bit in Anthem. The green means demand is strong. Yellow means it's normal. Not in Anthem. You go to Apache Junction, and it's normal, right around 100 there for demand, still in favor of sellers. You're going to see it in favor of sellers in every city as we quickly go through it. Arizona City, the same thing, but their supply or their demand is much stronger than we're seeing in a lot of other parts of the valley. And I apologize, this does not go up to Flagstaff or Prescott. I don't have access to their data. Avondale, your demand has dropped. Buckeye, you're about normal, but your market index is a little bit lower than most. Casa Grande, good demand, strong demand. People are moving to the outlying areas. Cave Creek, almost normal, except for the market index and supply. Supply is still real short. Chandler, look at that. Your demand index dropped. So Chandler's starting to feel a little bit of a slowdown. Hard to notice, but it is there. El Mirage, same story, but they still have a market index of 420. Fountain Hills, strong on all fronts. It's strong with demand, strong with a market index, and short on supply. Gilbert, we've been noticing that your demand has been dropping. Glendale, you're getting down the red part. Gold Canyon, strong demand up here, short supply. Goodyear, about normal on demand. Levine, demand dropped into the red. Maricopa, you're still rocking and going strong, although your market index is about 314. That is still considered a very strong seller's market. Mesa, approaching the red zone. Paradise Valley, strong demand, short supply. Kind of the same story everywhere, right? Peoria, Phoenix is starting to feel it, 338. Queen Creek, normal. Now, I have sent the question out and I have asked, is new construction included in these numbers? And I have not received an answer yet. That was a great question that a subscriber asked me the other day. And I'm trying to find out what the deal is. Scottsdale, you're sitting there looking at normal demand and an index of 394. Now, here's the over 55 communities. Sun City is showing, normal demand and short supply. Sun City West is normal. Sun Lakes is showing leaning towards the strong demand and very little supply, and their market index is 468.1. That's incredibly strong. There's hardly anything to find in Sun Lakes. If you're thinking about selling in Sun Lakes, some people wait till they come out in November and they want to be there when they put their house up for sale. The numbers are telling you if you're thinking of selling at Sun Lakes, I'd list that bad boy now. Surprise, starting to get a little bit of demand index going down. I experienced that last week. Tempe, About the same. Theirs actually dropped down quite a bit, 241.9, and then finally Tollison. Their demand has dropped way down. So there is some softening going on out there that you can start to feel. The demand for houses is not really dramatic. So the demand is still there. You're seeing articles that demand's dropping off, mortgage applications have declined, and they have, but barely. If I show you the chart, it's just going to be a little line that goes like this. So mortgage applications have dropped off, demand has softened. The conversation and the debate is, have buyers stopped or are they pausing? And if they're pausing, what are they pausing for? Are they waiting for more inventory? I think the answer to that question is yes. Are we getting it? Yes, about 300 or 400 more homes per week. So as we start getting more homes, and if demand stays the same where it is, and you've seen there's only a few spots where demand dropped, if it starts staying the same where it is while inventory comes up, magic happens for buyers. You're not going to have to do any appraisal waivers or get into a huge battle in a bidding war. So have another one here for you. Says here, Americans are willing to take pay cuts to never go into the office again. That's interesting. Pay cuts for remote workers, yes or no? They're saying here that here's 60% are saying yes, 40% are saying no for Generation Z, millennials. It's all across the board, even baby boomers. So you're all saying you wouldn't mind taking a pay cut if you could stay at home. People overwhelmingly wouldn't take a 25% pay cut. So they said they'd take about a 5%, but they wouldn't take a quarter. That makes sense. I wouldn't take a 25% pay cut. Businesses are struggling to get people to come back to the office. They just don't want to go back to the office. Now with a new resurgence in COVID, the conversation's starting up all over again. Companies were starting to bring people back. Now there's a giant pause. The economy is softening, and there's a little caution. And when little concern and caution that's out there, we're going to see some slowing sales and some increase in inventory. Personally, I enjoyed going to the office because I'm kind of a people person. I like hanging out with the guys at work, and I don't really like being home that much. When your office is around the corner, it's like you're working 24/7, sitting around with nothing to do, and you go, oh, I think I'll go in and look at some numbers. So that's what's happening out there in the market. There's not really any big, strong financial news coming this week that's going to change the bond market, but we'll take a look at rates. They're going to be this way for a while. We're going to be hovering below 3, probably through most of the summer and into the fall. Have a great Tuesday. Take on the rest of the day.